deficit hyperactivity disorder, better known as ADHD. But, what is ADHD? Could I have ADHD? I could focus when I want to, but I fidget, and I'm a girl, so I can't, right? We've all had a moment in our lives where the exact same thoughts have ran through, well, most of our heads. It's probably due to the fact that everybody in the world has ADHD. It's just whether you have a large or small detectable degree of it. But I'm standing here today to tell you firsthand the reality of living with ADHD, debunk the myths of having it, and share my story going through it. I do understand that there are thousands, if not millions of other, way more important topics I could and probably should be talking about during my time up here, but none that aren't spoken enough nearly as much as ADHD is. Now, that brings up the question once again. ADHD, the acronym, what does it mean? Is it even accurate? Funny enough, no, not really. I like to divide the acronym into two, starting with attention deficit. A deficit is when there is a lack or shortage of something, the something being attention. But that's not true at all. People with ADHD could focus their attention if wanted to, they simply just cannot regulate it. Hyperactivity disorder. Though many people with ADHD do experience hyperactivity as a symptom of ADHD, others simply just don't. And just like attention, most of the things we do in our day-to-day life is regulated, either overstimulated or understimulated, too much dopamine, or severely not enough. Which brings me to an acronym I found that I personally think is a lot more accurate, well, at least in today's society. DAVE, D-A-V-E, or Dopamine Attention Variability Dysfunction, Executive Dysfunction. Dopamine attention variability, as our dopamine and attention varies throughout the day, depending on our mood or simply just the way we wake up. And executive dysfunction, as it's more of a disturbance in our lives rather than a disorder. Sadly, we live in an era of stereotypes, myths, and misjudgments. And, well, like everything else in the world, there are many myths and misjudgments that come with having ADHD. While I'm only here to talk about two, the list goes on and on. The first myth being, only boys can have ADHD. Although it is scientifically proven that men do experience their symptoms a lot earlier and more evidently in life than girls, to me it's honestly comical that there are people who think that women cannot be diagnosed with ADHD. As statistically speaking, 48% of kids with ADHD in Canada are women. So that brings up the question again, only boys can have ADHD? The second myth I like to talk about, which is sadly the most common myth, is ADHD isn't a real condition and it's only caused by being on your phone too much. The National Institutes of Health, the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, and the CPA, Canadian Psychiatric Association, all recognize ADHD as a difference in the way the brain develops. Among other local experts who say ADHD is a genuine neurodevelopment dysfunction, which is also hereditary. Fun fact, 1 out of 4 people with ADHD's parents have ADHD. For as long as I can remember, up until my first year of high school, I was either failing or just passing all my classes, which if you know me, is completely out of character. This is because I was only diagnosed with ADHD midway through my first year of high school. And getting diagnosed with ADHD completely changed my life and put so many things into perspective. And over the lapse of 4 to 5 weeks, I was put in positions where things like my memory and the way I thought was put to test. As I always knew I was different from the way I thought to the way I processed my information, I always just blamed it on adolescence or puberty. As I was always told ADHD was a bad thing, meant you wouldn't go as far as life, and you weren't smart enough, which I don't know if I need to clear this up, but is completely false. After working alongside with my doctor, we found pills that have helped me in more ways than I can even count. But that doesn't mean this whole experience wasn't scary, as it was and could be for many reasons for multiple different people. I mean, you're going through life thinking, yeah, I might not be as smart as others, but at least I'm not different, till then one day, bam, you're diagnosed with a disorder, you need to take pills, which no one tells you, they do alter your emotions and the way you act, and the pills you might try first might not be the perfect match. Then you're getting special treatment at school, you're being isolated. Those emotions I've just explained to you are feelings thousands, if not millions, go through on a day-to-day basis, but are sadly looked over by our quote-unquote privileges at school, which is a huge reason why I chose this topic to talk about, as I've never seen anybody talk about ADHD in a way I've ever been able to remotely relate to. So I, Michela Masella, just a girl in the center of it all, want to give people to look at and relate to when it comes to all this. Because yes, it is hard, and yeah, we are different. But before I say thank you, I'd like to leave you off with this. ADHD is a name, like mine and like yours. It's only bad if you make it bad, and it's only a big deal if you give it significance. Thank you.